The morning after my husband's funeral, my daughter-in-law walked into my bedroom holding a tape measure and paint samples. Then she smiled and said, "We'll need this room for the baby now." I looked at my son waiting for him to stop her, but he stayed completely silent. That was the exact second I realized they were already planning my life after death while I was still alive. And what they didn't know was that every single thing inside that house still belonged to me, including their future. The house smelled like funeral flowers, cold coffee and rain-soaked coats. People had spent the entire day hugging me softly and whispering things like, "He's in a better place." After 42 years of marriage, there is no better place, there's only silence. I sat alone in my bedroom that evening staring at Robert's reading glasses still resting on his nightstand. He always left them there, every night. The indentation from his pillow was still visible beside mine. I touched it gently. Then the bedroom door opened without warning. Claire entered carrying a notebook. My daughter-in-law wore beige linen pants and that tight smile she always used when pretending to care. Behind her stood my son Michael, hands in pockets, eyes lowered. "We've been discussing the room situation," Claire said casually. Like we were talking about rearranging patio furniture. I blinked slowly. "What room situation?" She stepped further inside and looked around. "This bedroom makes the most sense for us now that the baby is coming." I stared at her, then at Michael, waiting for him to laugh awkwardly and say, "Claire, not now." He didn't. Instead he quietly whispered, "It's only temporary, Mom." That word landed harder than grief. Over the next few weeks my own home slowly stopped recognizing me. Claire ordered furniture without asking, boxes arrived daily, painters came and went. One afternoon I walked downstairs and found two strangers measuring my living room curtains. "Who are they?" I asked. Claire smiled proudly. "Interior designers." "What?" "We're modernizing the space." We, that word again. As if my husband's house had suddenly become a group project. My antique dining chairs disappeared first, then Robert's old reading lamp vanished from the den, then family photographs started coming off the walls, replaced by abstract beige artwork that looked like hotel decorations. Everywhere I looked, pieces of my life were quietly disappearing. One evening I opened the garage freezer looking for soup. It was completely full of Claire's meal prep containers labeled with color-coded stickers. My things had been pushed into one tiny corner. Even the refrigerator no longer felt like mine. I wasn't being removed all at once. That would have been obvious. No, they were erasing me slowly, politely, carefully, like people removing furniture after a flood. That was the part that hurt most. Not Claire, Michael. My son used to bring me dandelions from the yard when he was little. After Robert worked late shifts, Michael and I used to eat pancakes at midnight watching old movies together. When he broke his arm at 9 years old, he cried harder for me than for the pain. Now he couldn't even defend me inside my own house. One night I finally confronted him privately. "Do you agree with what Claire is doing?" He sighed heavily. "She's just trying to prepare for the baby." By removing me from my own bedroom. "Mom, please don't make this harder." I almost laughed. His father had been dead less than a month, and somehow I had become the inconvenience. 3 weeks later I returned from visiting Robert's grave. Rain soaked my coat, my knees ached from the cold. I climbed the stairs slowly, then froze. My bedroom door was locked. I stood staring at it for several seconds, unable to breathe. Then Claire appeared holding folded baby clothes. "Oh good," she smiled. "You're back." I looked at the door. "What is this?" "We moved your things downstairs." Stomach dropped. "You what?" "The guest room downstairs is quieter anyway," she explained casually. "And honestly, you don't need all this space anymore." I looked toward Michael. He stood near the hallway wall, completely frozen, silent. Again, that silence finally broke something inside me, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a rope snapping deep underwater. I nodded slowly, then walked downstairs. Sat at the kitchen table and made one phone call. The next morning I drove to downtown Portland and entered Harrison and Cole Family Law. Mr. Harrison himself greeted me. He had known Robert for 30 years. After hearing everything, he removed his glasses slowly. "Margaret," he said carefully, "do they understand this house is still legally yours?" I gave a small tired smile. I think it's time they remembered. For 3 straight hours we reviewed everything, the deed, the trust, the inheritance clauses, the retirement accounts, every document Robert and I had built together across 4 decades. Then we changed all of it, every last detail. If Michael continued allowing Claire to mistreat me, they would inherit absolutely nothing. The house would instead transfer to a housing foundation supporting widows abandoned by family. Ironclad, final, legal. Mr. Harrison looked at me carefully before I left. "You're doing the right thing." I nodded quietly. "I know." Somehow, it still hurt. I never yelled, never argued, never caused scenes. I simply stopped helping. I stopped paying extra grocery costs, stopped covering utility overages, stopped babysitting preparation expenses, stopped filling the refrigerator. And suddenly their comfortable lifestyle started collapsing. The electricity bill shocked Claire. The property tax notice terrified Michael. Then came hospital expenses for the baby, furniture financing, insurance increases. One night I overheard them fighting downstairs. She's doing this on purpose. Claire snapped. Michael sounded exhausted. She's been paying more than we realized. Exactly, that was the moment they finally understood something important. I wasn't dependent on them, they were dependent on me. 2 weeks later I invited them both to dinner. Rain tapped softly against the windows. Claire looked nervous immediately. Good. I served roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and Robert's favorite wine. Then quietly placed a thick envelope on the table. Michael frowned. What's this? My updated will. Claire's face immediately lost color. Michael opened the papers slowly. Then panic appeared, real panic, because every single asset, the house, the savings, the lake cabin, all of it was gone from their inheritance. Michael looked stunned. Claire interrupted quickly. This is emotional manipulation. I looked directly at her. No, what you did was manipulation. Silence. Then I turned toward my son. The day you allowed someone to lock me out of my own bedroom. You stopped protecting this family. Michael lowered his eyes, and for the first time he looked ashamed. That night Michael knocked softly on my downstairs door alone. His eyes were red. She pushed me, he admitted quietly. The house, the money, the inheritance. She kept saying we deserved it because you were getting older. I closed my eyes. There it was, the truth, not grief, not family planning, greed, simple ugly greed. Michael started crying softly, real crying, like a little boy again. Sorry, Mom. Honestly, that hurt more than anything else. Because I realized my son wasn't cruel, just weak. And weak people allow terrible things to happen. 3 months later, Claire moved out. Funny how quickly love disappears when inheritance vanishes. Michael rented a small apartment nearby and slowly started rebuilding his life. And my bedroom, it's mine again. Robert's reading chair sits beside the window exactly where it belongs. Every morning sunlight hits the curtains the same way it always did. Sometimes I still reach toward the empty side of the bed. 42 years doesn't disappear easily. But peace has finally returned to this house. The lock is gone now. But the lesson remains. Never hand people your future before they learn how to respect your present.